everyone, and thank you for joining us for the 2016-17 Technical Panel webinar for singles data operators as well as technical controllers. My name is Juliet Newcomer, and I'm going to be moderating this webinar. Your presenters tonight are going to be Rick Perez, the chair of the technical committee, Brenda Kickerts, the vice chair for data and video education, and Elliot Schwartz, the national vice chair for technical panel education, both on the technical panel committee. We've also asked Denise Williamson to be on hold with us just in case there are any questions that we need her to address, as she may chime in as well. I'll be managing the slides, and then with Elliot Schwartz, we'll be monitoring your questions. Only panelists are able to speak. The rest of you are automatically muted, and that is just to make sure we don't get too much background noise and have good quality audio. Attendees are invited to ask questions using the chat box in the control panel on your webinar control panel. And then if we get enough questions to warrant it, we will do a Q&A summary following the webinar. We can usually get that out within about a week of the webinar. Regional start this week, so obviously we'll get it out as quickly as possible. And I'm going to turn it over to our presenters.
This is Rick. Just a couple words before we get started. I want to thank you so much for attending this webinar. I appreciate everyone's dedication to our sport and also being diligent to keep your technical knowledge up to date. I'd like to make a couple important points for anyone serving at a qualifying competition this year. The technical controller has so many more implementations to address this season. We need a strong team environment to ensure that the elements are correctly entered. The data operator, the technical specialist, and the assistant technical specialist must support the technical controller as backup for vetting rules correctly. It is easy for the technical controller to miss an important detail while keeping up with element levels, their notes, the data entry screen, bonuses, repeats, asterisks, jump limits. Oh my gosh, my head's going to explode just telling you this, but the list goes on. It's really going to take a village. We use that line a lot, but it's true. All the members of the technical panel need to remain 100% engaged from the moment that the assistant technical specialist says, Mary's first element is a jump, when the music begins, to the point that the elements are authorized and the referee says half starts with 5. Please do not race through the readback. Everyone needs to listen to the readback. The assistant technical specialist should speak up if their notes do not match with the readback. This would greatly reduce the chances for errors for the team. And also at the end of the event, you know, and the technical controller and the data operator are verifying marks, try to create an environment for them to be able to hear each other. So many times our colleagues are talking really loud, the Zamboni's going, and we can hardly hear each other. So try to be courteous for them doing the verification process. I hope everyone has a great experience at competitions this year, and I just want to thank you for your participation and cooperation. Thank you so much. Elliot?
Thanks, Rick. Yeah, thanks for opening it with those important points. And yeah, in addition to everything Rick said about the fact that it's going to take a village, you know, one of the things that I would add that often makes it difficult to get everything right is taking care of the bonus. So I would recommend before you go out on a panel for each event, make sure you ground yourselves again in the bonus rules, along with all the calling rules for the particular level for the event that you're going to be doing. But while you're on the panel, absolutely, you know, all hands on deck to make sure that the bonus calls are correct. We want to make sure that our skaters are being awarded for what they're attempting correctly. So I'll briefly cover the scope of today's webinar, and thanks again to all of you for joining us. So I'll cover the scope, and then Brenda's going to do the bulk of the presentation. So Brenda put together some great information for us on some illustrations of some of the data screens that have changed this season. We'll cover changes to the rule vetting for singles for this 2016-17 season. The TEPR, if you haven't done it yet, the Tech Panel Education Requirement, I recommend doing it as soon as you can after this call, because this call will provide a lot of the information that you'll need to do the TEPR. So if you've done it already, thank you very much. Great job. And if you haven't done it yet, right after, this is a great opportunity. So please, make sure you understand the material in the documents that were provided as references. And we'll also cover officials protocol during the events. Brenda?
Yes, okay. So for the next slide, please. So this is Brenda, and I'm going to present most of the information for you today. The purpose of this is really to highlight the changes for this season and also review of the important things that we need to always keep in mind. They may not have changed from this year, but just a reminder. The first thing we're going to cover is changes on the actual data screens. So hopefully everyone has had the opportunity to see these screens before now. But one of the most exciting things that has been added is the ability for the data operator to add the asterisk. So you will find this button on the jump screen in both singles and in pairs. So the data operator is able to add the asterisk to jumps that are not automatically added. That is, if the software does not add it already to that jump. So that's a little bit of kicker there, because in the junior and senior events, the ISU software is used, and it does add the asterisk to the appropriate jumps. So there is no need for the data operator, in most cases, to add an asterisk. And in fact, if you go through the process and if something is reviewed because of the need for an asterisk, you may find that the asterisk has already been added in the junior and senior events. If you do add the asterisk, instead of letting the process the software take care of it, it will result in a double asterisk, which will make an invalid code. So that will be a problem. For the lower levels, though, the juvenile through novice, the asterisk can be added by the data operator instead of waiting till the end and then having to have the technical accountant added. So that's been very helpful. The second addition to the data screen is in the spins. And I'm sure everyone on this call has sat on a panel when you've heard the words spin, no level, or spin review, because it's not obviously an error in execution results in a spin that is going to have no value, but it wasn't obviously clear what the intended spin was. So if there is an execution error, however, it is obvious that the person was doing a fly and got into a sit position and promptly went splat, that it was the intent was a sit spin, and it is can be called as a sit spin instead. But if it's not a clear indication of what the spin was intended to be, you can choose that. The code is just SP, and it's not in the scale of values as it has no value. And then the third thing that's new this year on the screens is in dance. And I know we're covering mostly singles, but just wanted to highlight a few things in the other disciplines. So the dance one is an extended lift. So it's the greater than symbol. This is obviously done by the referee, in that the referee would identify a lift that exceeds the maximum time. And a new change this year is in short lifts, they now can be 7 seconds rather than 6 in previous years, and the combination is still 12. Obviously it's regionals, we don't have this issue. At sectionals, probably we'll be using systems that will not have the ability for the referee to add this. So it will be something that the data operator will be directed to add to it. That symbol does not affect the value of the lift. However, it does give more information on the protocol sheet so that it is obvious what the problem was or where the extended lift fell. So the deduction is still 1 point, and it still comes in as a deduction that's made by the referee, but it does show up on the protocol sheet. And the next screen is just actually a screenshot of the singles jumps, which shows you where that button is. So the upper right-hand corner of the jumps themselves. Likewise, I didn't put this in there, but the pair screen also has the same thing. One thing I'll mention also with that asterisk is that initially there was some problems with it if you needed to manually add more than one asterisk, that it was actually toggling on and off. But that has changed now, so data operator can add asterisks to more than one jump in a passage effectively. So that works out better now. The next screen shows the spin no level, and that again is on the bottom right of the screen there, and the little purple box. So I've had the opportunity to use that already too. Not a good thing, but it happens. And then the third thing just shows the dance lift screen, and you'll see at the bottom under choreographic lift is the greater than symbol, which says too long lift. Okay. The next thing we'll cover is actually just changes to the well-balanced program in the short program. And there have been several changes this year. Always the juniors change, but for the novice ladies this year, there's been a change in the spin in one position, in that now, besides a layback spin or sideways leaning spin, a novice lady may choose to do either a sit spin or a camel spin without a change of foot shoe. In junior ladies, again, that option has been added that the skater could do either a layback, sideways, or a sit spin without a change of foot. And then, of course, the flying camel has changed for this season, which is a flying camel. And the jumps that is immediately seated by, or with steps immediately preceding it, is now either a double loop or a triple loop. In the junior men, it's the same loop jump. And then the spins have changed, of course, the sit spin with a change of foot and the flying camel spin. The other change with the senior ladies is that the spin in one position can now be either the layback, sideways, leaning, sit, or camel. And then the flying spin with the landing position different than the spin in one position. So if they choose to do a sit spin, they have to do a flying spin that is not a flying sit spin. Those are pretty straightforward. Change this year that's in the combination spins that you probably should all be aware of already is that the number of positions are no longer a part of the code. So that means that you will not hear 3 positions, level 4, or such things. In order to receive full value, though, the skater must have all 3 basic positions in a combination spin. If they only achieve 2 basic positions, then they will have the designation of a V, and that will be in the code of values, scale of values, rather, it is a lesser amount of value that spin is going to get. So the V is called by the technical specialist during the event. So a V can be called at the time, in real time. Something may be, of course, reviewed later to confirm whether the skater did indeed not achieve all 3 basic positions. Just as before, if the skater only has 1 basic position, it's still going to be a no value spin. So it's the designation without any number after it, indicating there is no level called. Okay. For flying spins, there has been a change this year in that the only requirement for that is to have clear, visible air. So if it is not achieved clear, visible air, a V will be called. So that is the only designation of using the V in a flying spin. So this applies to flying spins only. That is, it does not have a change of foot or position. So this criteria does not apply to other spins with a flying entry, meaning flying entry into a combination spin. So the requirement for clear, visible air and the V that's added to that, if it's not achieved, only applies to the flying spins. The fly should be called when it's executed by our technical specialist. If the data operator here, as soon as you hear the word fly, you can certainly touch that fly button and prepare for the next call or addition to what the spin is actually going to be. If the spin has no value, a V is not needed. It's redundant information. Okay. So despite their best intentions, there are going to be execution errors in spins. And I've developed a list of what to do when these execution errors occur. So in a short program, a combination spin with a change of foot is required. So if that no change of foot is executed, either by execution error or there was no intended change of foot, the call is called as the spin that's executed with its level, and then it's asterisked. So if they only do a combination spin and do not change feet, then it will be, you still evaluate it for its features, give it a designated level, but it will receive an asterisk. Even if it is asterisk in this situation, a V still does apply. Again, that's feedback. So if the skater only achieved 2 basic positions but still did not change feet, it could be a COSP2V asterisk. In the free skate for juvenile and intermediate, this is something that has not changed from last year, but the required spins are a combination spin with or without a change of foot and a spin in only one position with no change of foot. So if there are execution errors that occur that cause one spin to be both spins to be asterisk, basically, we do look at that and make some arrangements so the skater will receive value for one spin. So for instance, the first intended spin by a skater is to be a combination spin. Due to an execution error, the skater does a camel spin, gets no level on it, and then the second spin they do is a sit spin where they achieve a level 3 or any other level. So if we call only as what was executed, it will result in the skater receiving no value for either spin. Therefore, in this situation, the first spin then is changed to a combination spin with no level, and therefore they will not have the sit spin asterisk and still receiving value for that sit spin. So this applies to juvenile and intermediate only. The same sort of situation can occur in the intermediate short program, where they must do a combination spin with a change of foot. That is, a change of foot is required, and then also the spin with one position and no change of foot. So again, if they have an execution error in the first spin, which was the intended combination spin, resulting in them not receiving value for either spin, then the change is made for the first spin, change it to a combination spin with a change of foot, no value, and therefore they receive the credit for the second solo spin in one position. Again, this only applies to the intermediate short program. There may be errors that occur in the novice and short program because novice ladies can now do layback or a sit or a camel. However, this change or this protocol does not apply to them. It's only intermediate short program. Okay.
Brenda, before you move on to jumps, can I address a couple of questions that have come in?
Sure.
Okay, great. So the first question is, so on a combination lift in dance, where does the greater than sign go in the event that the lift is too long? Does it go after the entire combination lift, or does it go after each piece of the combination lift? And I'll address that one. So looking at the Tech Panel Handbook for dance, for a combination lift, the duration of the lift should not exceed 12 seconds. So the whole combination lift is timed as a single entity, and so if the lift is longer than the combination lift is longer than 12 seconds, then it would receive the greater than sign, and it's just a greater than sign that goes on the entire element. It winds up in the info column, which is like the same place where the edge attention would wind up in singles. So it just gets assigned to the entire element, but it doesn't affect the code of the element. The next question is, can you clarify, please, if a flying spin that would have received a V actually ends up as no value, you do not need to include the V? I thought we were supposed to call everything that is seen. Please clarify the V for the no value flying spin. So this is something that was decided by the ISU. They instructed that if the spin receives no value, no level, then the V is not included. Okay, that's all the questions for now. There's one more on jumps, but I'll come back to that after you cover the jumps, Brenda.
Okay, great. So going on to jumps in the short program, this is not a change from last year, and we know that the jumps that don't satisfy the requirements are going to receive no value. So an asterisk is added for the juvenile through novice levels, but the software does automatically add that to the junior and senior levels. So only the portion of the jump combination that doesn't meet the requirements is asterisked. So therefore, if a double, single is or higher is required, let's see. So look at intermediate ladies, for instance. Jump combination can be a single, double, 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 single, triple, or double, triple. If a skater does a single, single, then they will get credit for one of the jumps, but one of the jumps will be asterisked. And the jump that will get asterisked is the jump with the lowest base value. And that's before any unders, downgrades, or edge calls. So you look at what the jump is. So if they do a single flip, single toe loop, the single flip would receive credit, the single toe loop would not. If they did a single flip downgrade plus single toe loop, it would still be the single toe loop giving asterisk. It is the lower base value than a single flip, and we consider it before the downgrade. All right, so that brings up the question of what happens when there are execution errors. And every time you think of any possible combination or any kind of scenario and try to figure out, think through the process, what do we do then somebody will do something that you hadn't thought of. So we've attempted to think through all these things and come up with the answers for you, and I hope that we don't see anything else, but there may be things that we'll have to be able to problem solve as they occur. So in the short program, if a no jump combination is attempted, then the plus combo is added to one of the jump passes. This may or may not be obvious which jump was intended to be the combination, and that is, you can look at the planned program or evaluate, use your best judgment as to what the intended combo or where it would be best to put the plus combo. So that is not a change. Now, if there are execution errors, though, in the jumping pass, then we have to add a plus combo. Well, let me go back. If there's an execution error where the skater does one jump and then either has a fall or does a step out, but then gets up and does the second jump or continues and does a second jump, all the jumps are going to be on the protocol sheet, but the coding for that is going to be a little bit different than last year. So for instance, last year, if the skater had done a double lutz and fell, got up and did the double toe loop, it would have just been double lutz plus combo and nothing else. But now, what we do is you put the code for the first jump, and the plus combo goes at the point then where the jump pass ended, and then the next jump that they do is included in the protocol sheet, and it is identified and then put an asterisk with it. So this happens, again, if they fall, get up and do another jump, or if the jump pass ends by a transfer of weight. If there are extra jumps that are done, only the extra jump that is not recording to requirements is going to be asterisk or receive no value. And again, as with everything, we always consider everything in the order they were executed. So for instance, if they happen to do a 3-jump combination, the third jump gets asterisk. They will still get credit for the first jump and the second jump, but the third jump will receive no value. Should they happen to do 2 jump combinations, only the second jump of the second combination is asterisked. So, they may have done a double lutz single toe loop when they really wanted to do a double lutz and double toe loop, and then their next jump they do a double flip and decide, well, I'm going to add my double toe loop on now. In that case, again, it would be just the second jump of the second combination that would be asterisked. All right, going on to the free skate. And I guess my interpretation of this is that a kinder, gentler way of handling errors in jumps in the free skate, in that we are giving more credit to elements before, if it was a violation of the well-balanced program requirements, sometimes it resulted in skaters receiving no credit for a whole jump combination. So this year is really just only the jumps that are not recorded in the requirements are going to receive no value. Again, we're going to consider everything in the order execution. So what happens then if we have some errors? If a skater in a intended jump combination has an error which results in the jump pass being ended, we're going to use the first jump, and then we're going to add sequence at the point of the error in execution. And then anything that follows that will be called and part of the protocol, but there'll be an asterisk, so they get no value for that. So if they do a double Lutz, fall, get up, and then do a double toe loop, again, it's going to be 2LZ plus seek plus 2T asterisk. Or if they do the first jump and the jump pass by transfer of weight, and then continue to do another jump, it's the same scenario. This can also happen with a jump sequence when a loss of rhythm results in the end of the sequence basically ending. So it will be any jumps that they execute in the jump sequence successfully, and then at the point that that no longer is a jump sequence in that they've lost the rhythm, you will put the plus seek, and then any other jump they continue to do after that will all receive an asterisk. So it's possible that you may have two jumps that receive value, plus seek, plus a third jump that maybe will be asterisked. Or vice versa, they may have one jump that is successfully executed, then have the error in execution, plus seek goes on there, and they may have two jumps after that, but they will not receive credit for it as the jump sequence had ended. So it would be, again, both the jumps would be identified and both jumps would have an asterisk. All right, going on. There are also repeat rules for jumps in that maximum number of double jumps for most levels is going to be 2. So only the jump that's not recording to the requirements is going to be asterisked. So if it's part of a jump combination, the rest of the jumps are counted. So this is different from last year in that before a skater, did a third double toe loop and had that double toe loop in combination with a double flip, they would lose the entire element. So now they would only lose the third double toe loop. If a jump combination, let me start over. If there's a second jump combination with 3 jumps, so one combination with 3 jumps is allowed, but they do 2 jump combinations with 3 jumps, then only that third jump of the second 3-jump combination is asterisked. So again, they're receiving credit for the first 2. It's only the jump that is not according to requirements that they're not going to get any value for. If they exceed the maximum number of jump combinations or sequences, only the first jump of that extra jump combination or sequence gets value, and then plus rep is added. And by adding plus rep, they receive a lesser value for that first jump. And again, this may be a 2-jump combination, or it could be a 3-jump combination. And in any of those cases, they get value for the first jump only. All the other jumps are indicated on the protocol sheet, and all with an asterisk. There are also at each level a different maximum number of jumps that can be repeated. So as the example on there with the juveniles, they can only repeat 3 different double jumps. So if they do repeat a 4th different double jump, that jump is going to be an asterisk. And if it is part of a jump combination or sequence, again, it's only the jump that exceeds the maximum that's asterisk. So they will get credit for those that do not violate the rules. Okay. Jump bonus has had some changes this year from previous years. So last year was the first year with it. And now this year it's been added on that the juvenile free skate now can receive a bonus for each double axel. Of course, they can only have 2 double axels in the program, so they have the potential to receive 2 bonus points instead of 1 as it was last year. Intermediate short program, intermediate free skate have not changed in how the bonuses are applied. So in the intermediate short program and the free skate actually, 1 double axel, and they can also receive 1 bonus point for each different triple jump. Novice has changed a bit from this previous year in that now they may receive a 2.0 bonus for one triple-triple. And if they do a combination with two triples and the triples are different from each other, one of those triples can be repeated for another 1-point bonus. If they are repeating one of the jumps from the triple-triple combination, you can select the jump with the highest point value to add the bonus to. The point, it won't make any difference in the total points. However, just for consistency, it's been determined that we'll just add it to the highest point value. So a little bit different in that there's been some questions with the intermediates. There is no 2-point bonus for a triple-triple for intermediate skaters. So they may do a triple-triple. However, if they would do, for instance, a triple-toe combination, they would receive only one bonus point, as it's for each unique triple jump. All right, I think we already know this too. The jumps can be either fully rotated or under-rotated to receive a bonus. If it's downgraded, there is no bonus. The bonus is applied to the first successful attempt. So you may have skaters that attempt a juvenile skater may attempt a double axel and have it downgraded on the first attempt. The second attempt, they may have a double axel that's under-rotated in combination with a double toe loop. So it is the first successful, so it would be the second one then that they receive a bonus on, but not on the downgraded one. The bonuses, there's been a new protocol sheet or procedure sheet, I guess, that was published earlier this summer that kind of spells out how to apply it. So the bonuses can be called in real time by the TS or the TC. If it's not done in real time, we'll do it during the review process prior to the readback. If a review is called on a jump that may potentially have a bonus, it's probably best not to put the bonus in automatically, wait till the review process. If it's downgraded, of course, there is no bonus, and if it's under or fully rotated, that bonus can be added during the review process. The sequence that you touch the buttons to add the bonus doesn't matter on a solo jump, in that you can press the bonus, the under, the edge, in any order, and the code will print out correctly. However, if you do have a bonus that you're going to apply to the first jump of a jump combination, you do need to apply the bonus directly to that first jump. So if you're doing the editing process, you'd have to clear the box, put in the first jump, and choose the bonus, touch the bonus button at that point, and then add the rest of them. Okay, do we have any questions you want to go through first, Elliot?
Sure, Brenda. Yeah, let's go through some jump questions now. Thanks. So the first question, let me pull that up. So the first question is, if a skater performs a jump sequence, including a salchow with a 3-turn, what is the final protocol? And the person's asking, is it first jump plus second jump plus sequence plus salchow with an asterisk? And so looking at the tech panel handbook for singles, in a jump sequence, it says that there can be no turns or steps, not even as an entry into a jump. So if a salchow is included in what was perhaps thought to be a jump sequence, then it wouldn't be okay, and it would be the first jump plus whatever jumps precede the 3-turn. And then if a salchow is done after that, then it would be that salchow with an asterisk. That's why the only time you see a salchow with other jumps before it is when it's connected to another jump by a half loop, which would be called as a single loop, and that puts the skater on the correct foot and edge to go into the salchow jump. So the person asking the question is correct. It would be, if there is a 3-turn, then it's plus sequence plus the salchow with the asterisk. Next question is actually one I haven't seen before, very creative. So in a novice ladies short program, the skater does a double Lutz plus a single loop plus a double toe loop for the jump combination. Which jump gets the asterisk? So obviously the first problem is that there's 3 jumps in this combination, so that's a problem. This is, again, a situation I haven't seen before. I'm going to give you now the way I would handle it, and if anyone thinks it's not correct, let me know. But I would believe as a 3-jump combination, the third jump, the double toe loop, would have to be asterisked. which would then leave doublets plus single loop. And since in a novice lady short program, the combination has to be at least double-double, then the single loop would also receive an asterisk as not meeting the requirements of the combination. So if anyone disagrees with that, let me know, but that would be my interpretation.
I agree with you, Elliot.
Oh, thanks, Denise. Okay, great. Let's see. Next question actually pertains to spins, so I'll come back to that in a minute. In the case of the next jump question, I thought the order for the plus rep is jump plus rep plus anything that would have to be asterisked. In the case of the rep, the convention appears to be to have any jumps that are valid followed by any jumps that are asterisked followed by the rep, which is different than what's done with the combo or sequence in the event that something happens to end the combination or a sequence, and any other jumps that are performed would then be called an asterisk and appear after the combo in the short program or the sequence in the free skate. Let's see, when a jump combo is performed that exceeds the maximum number of combinations, such as doublets plus rep plus double toe loop asterisk, even if it's the first doublets in the program. And that's correct. If there are, let's say, 3 jump combinations in juvenile or 4 jump combinations in any other level, the call would be, in this case, doublets plus rep plus double toe loop asterisk. And that rep is really the penalty for performing too many combinations and sequences. And so that's why, even though the LUTs may be the first one in the program, that's why the call is handled that way, in order to reduce the base value of what is performed.
Just a little bit with that, Elliot. So if they're exceeding the maximum number of jump combinations, the plus rep is at the end of the entire code. So it would be the first jump plus whatever subsequent jumps, all asterisk plus rep at the end.
Oh, right. Thank you, Brenda. Yeah, like I just talked about. Thank you. Long memory. Okay, thank you. Next question. Previously, if okayed by the TC, data operators could automatically add the bonus. Is that still acceptable, or do we have to wait to be instructed to add the bonus? So this is a great question. I'll state what I think the best way to handle it is, and again, if anyone, if Denise, if you want to chime in, Brenda, you want to chime in, or anyone else disagrees, let me know. I know there are some different things that were done out in the field in order to enable the data operator to enter the bonus on the fly, to make it easier at the end of the program to not have to continually clear entry and re-enter the entire combination if the bonus occurred on a jump that was in a combination or a sequence. So what I would recommend, and what I do with the controllers that I work with, is I always want to make sure that the controller is dictating the inclusion of the bonus. I don't think it's a good idea for the data operators to do it on their own. So, but I think there are a couple of ways that it can be handled, and there are 2 primary ways that I've had TTs do it, which I think work well. One is after the call is made, if there's no review on a jump that is eligible for bonus in that competition level, I've had the controller quietly say bonus, and I, as a data operator, if it's a combination, I'll wait for the controller to do that before I make my entry, so that I can get the bonus in the right place. The other thing I've had controllers do with me is, if I hear a call, again, without a review that would potentially downgrade the jump, I would look at the controller, and the controller just silently nods at me, and that's our signal that it's okay to put in the bonus. So I think both of those are okay. I would recommend, again, making sure the TC is the one that's dictating the inclusion of the bonus.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think that's a conversation you can have with your TC to see how you're going to approach that. And certainly in a jump combination where a bonus may be applied to the first jump, I'd enter the first jump, even if the second jump has been called, hesitating just a moment to get that nod or that bonus call from the TC. That way you can get it in right away and then quickly add the second jump. So you're not delaying or the process at all, but gives you the opportunity to do it in live time. So it does shave time at the end.
Great. Thanks, Brenda. Coming back to the question earlier about the sal-cow in the combination or sequence, a couple of folks have pointed out that if the 3-turn is jumped and the skater jumps onto the inside edge for the salchow takeoff, that would also be okay as a way to perform a salchow after another jump, and that's correct. So that actually would be a situation where the salchow could be in sequence. I didn't think about that one, so you guys are really on it. Thank you. Let's see. We had a question about a spin, which I'll address now. So if a senior skater does a flying change combo spin in the short program, so that flying change combo spin would be asterisk because it's not a valid element in the short program, and later does a combination spin with a change of foot, should that CCOSP be asterisk because it's the second combination spin, or can the FCCOSP be considered as not necessarily having to fill the spin combo box because it's not a valid combo spin for the short program? In that case, I would have to look at the program in its entirety and see what's performed. Seeing if a combination spin with a change of foot is performed afterward. I would also look to see if a flying spin, so a spin with a flying entry with no change of foot or position, is performed as well. And basically just look at, take the spins in order and see which boxes they can fill. So I think it depends on what else happens in that program. I think that's, let's see. Oh, there are a few more questions. Give me a moment. No, I think that covers the questions for now. Thanks, Brenda.
Okay. Moving on then to falls. Oh, wait, where are we at? I think you're going the wrong way.
Sorry, the question box covers the slides for me. Here we go.
Oh, okay. So falls, just little change this year in that in novice singles, the deduction for each fall is now 0.5 points instead of 1 point. So data operators need to know this because in the readback or the going through the sheets at the end, you'll see a number at the bottom, and for juvenile intermediate, I think we all remembered, it said 1 point at the bottom. We knew that meant 2 falls. So this year, if it's novice and it says 1, that again is 2 falls, and it's only 0.5 points for each fall. Juniors, it remains 1 point for a fall, and in seniors, we have 1 point for the first and second, 2 points for the third and fourth, and 3 points for each subsequent. Now, during the event, you only touch the fall box for the actual number of falls. So earlier, before the software was updated, I know we were touching it more than one time to get the right deduction based on this new change. However, it is correct now, so for any of these levels, the number of falls that occur during the program should equal the number of times that you touch that fall box. On the protocol sheet, when you read back, the deduction for falls for the juvenile, intermediate, and novice will be twice as many falls as what the deduction is. For juniors, it's 1 per 1. And in seniors, actually, on the protocol sheet, it will have the point deduction, and then in parentheses, it will say the number of falls. So there's another double check on that. And for pairs and dance, there has been no change, so it's only juvenile intermediate that is a half a point per fall. Novice remains at 1 point for each fall. So that change was not made in the pairs or dance for this year. And just a reminder, if you are reviewing an element for the possibility of a fall, that the review should be done in real time only. Okay, second half bonus is not changed, but just remembering in singles, a second half bonus is given for all free skate events, and in junior and senior, there's also a bonus in the short program for jumps that occur after the midway point of the program. There is no bonus in pairs. This comes into call sometimes. There are issues with skaters not receiving a bonus on the last jump in their program if it is the last element that's performed. Sometimes what happens is that if the entry is made into the system after the time has ended for the program, and that is the accountant has stopped the clock, it will not pick up that another bonus should be given on that last element if it's a jump. And sometimes there's just been issues when it's a last jump that it won't show up. So when you're doing the readback, you always want to make sure that you're looking at that last, well, you're looking at all the elements, but particularly making sure that the bonus is being awarded to all jumps in the second half, specifically if it's the last element in the program. Late start is changed a little bit this year, and just put this in here so you're aware of this. Of course, data operators nor technical controllers have anything to do with determining a late start. It is the event referee. But skaters have 30 seconds to take their starting position. In previous years, we've given an additional 30 seconds for the first skater in each warm-up group. Now it has changed in that junior and senior get no additional time. So each skater, it's only 30 seconds to take their mark. So you may find that there are some late start deductions in our junior and senior events. It's one deduction if the skater takes more than 30 seconds but less than 60, and then they're withdrawn if they're not in their position by 60 seconds. So we hope we don't see those kinds of deductions, but just want to make you aware what that's about. All right, so as I said before, really covering mostly singles, as that's the majority, well, that's all we're doing at regionals, but the majority of what we do even at non-quals. But just want to highlight a couple differences in pairs. In generally, most of the same rules apply as in singles. The V is a little bit different in pairs. The V applies to only solo spin combinations. So the criteria that in singles where you can get a V on a flying spin does not apply in pairs. So if two pair skaters were going to do a flying spin, that is a spin in one position with a flying entry, they may not receive a V, as the criteria does not apply in pairs. The V can also occur in pair spin combinations, but not in pair spin. Also, the execution errors in jump combinations is treated differently in pairs than it is in singles. So if both skaters only execute the solo jump, or both skaters fall out or step out, it's just the solo jump that's called. If one skater steps out or falls, but the other one does a jump sequence and successfully does that, it's going to be the first jump plus sequence. If one skater falls or steps out, and the other one does a jump combination, then it's going to be first jump plus combo. So even if that skater that may have gotten up and done something after the execution error, unlike singles where we put that jump in an asterisk, we do not do that for pairs. In a free skate, a team must do a solo jump and then a jump combination or sequence. If they only do 2 solo jumps, then the second attempt is going to be whatever the jump is plus rep, as it's the repeat of a solo jump in essence. Also, this is not new either, but if they don't do the same side-by-side jump, it is the jump with the lowest base value that's going to be called, and it will receive an asterisk. So there's no value for for either jump. As I mentioned before, the asterisk button, it does appear on the jump screen in pairs also, so the data operator is able to add those asterisks if need be. And also the spindle level does appear on the solo spin screen in the pairs discipline also. And dance, probably the trickiest part about dance is in combination or in lifts. And I usually think of it as a lift being treated basically like a jump. So when you're entering a lift, you only touch the level that it corresponds to. If you think of it of a stationary lift level 4, all you do is touch the 4 in the stationary lift column. So in combination, it is again the lift and the level followed by the lift and the level. One change this year is the choreographic element, and in senior level now the skater teams may do 2 choreographic elements, but they must be different. So that's choreographic dance lift, spinning movement, or twizzling movement. Each of those have to be performed after the required same type of element. and it's a fixed value, so it's either confirmed or not confirmed. And in the short dance, of course, the pattern portion of that changes each year. This year in junior, it's the blues, where they have 2 sequences. And in the senior, it's a midnight blues, where it's 1 section immediately followed by the partial step sequence. That's important, too, because it will always be the pattern dance and then the partial step sequence in succession. Whereas in junior, they can do either sequence, and they do not have to be sequential. All right, this is from last year also, but also pointing out there is a couple other buttons that added last year, in that if a couple has an interruption where they lose more than 4 beats, then it will receive a level 1. Again, the TS will be calling that, but there's a designation of the double caret sign that will appear after the code. And if they do less than 75%, it receives no value, and the exclamation point is used. And on the next slide is actually the data screen, which shows those 2 buttons that you can see. So again, that's something we don't want to ever have to use, but just be aware that they're there, especially for those that are doing sectionals and nationals, or at other non-qualifying competitions that is available. All right, so as Rick alluded to earlier, rule vetting is really important for the whole team. I think data operators need to make sure that they know that that's really a principal part of their role. The data operator is there to serve on the panel, to be an assistant, to make the event run as smoothly as possible. But rule vetting is also a big portion of their responsibility. So, of course, you're going to attend the pre-event meeting, know what the elements are for each event before you take that stand, have copies with you so you can quickly refer to them. You always want to alert your TC if any asterisks are appearing on the screen, as in the software has added asterisk. That's a clue. You want to make sure that they are appropriate. Sometimes there have asterisks that are added by the software that need to be removed. Which incidentally, the data operator can add asterisks, but we cannot remove. So if it's added by the software, it has to be the technical accountant that does remove an asterisk. So it's really important that the data operators understand and know the rules of the sport. Part of that is done by reviewing all the documents that we have, keeping up to date, doing your education, your quiz online will also just make you more aware and know where to find the information that you need. Always alert the TC if there are any violations that if they're not corrected during the review before you press authorize. So the data operator doesn't have a role in determining decisions of the panel, determining levels, anything like that. So in general, the panel will work through all the issues that come up. If we get to the point where something has been missed, or you question whether if this is correct, that's the time for the data operator to speak up. Again, it takes a team of people to make sure that we get this right for the skaters. We owe that to them. All right, in the readback is really, I guess all data operators should know how to read back in both codes and words. When we start out being data operators, we're taught basically to do the codes. That's the quickest, that's the easiest, so it works the best for the panels. Words are used in international competitions, and you'll be expected to be able to use words at nationals. I would encourage everyone to practice, to literally take a protocol sheet, read it out loud, read the codes, develop a rhythm, read it in words. You should be able to quickly go back and forth between each one and be able to do that. The best approach, I guess, is that you want to make sure you do what makes the process run the smoothest for you. So ask the technical controller for his or her preference before the event starts. If the technical controller says, I prefer codes, then that's what you use. If the technical controller says, it's up to you, whatever you're most comfortable, take it at that. Use whatever you're most comfortable. It's not a show. It's not a way to show how good you are or anything like that. It's a way to make the process work well and to make sure that we don't have any errors. And when you're reading back, of course, everyone else is listening to this and also verifying that that is correct. And also just one thing I'll mention too is Rick mentioned about the TS and the TC also making sure they're engaged and paying attention. And I will add to that the video operator. As the video operator gets to enjoy the program, is watching everything, but that's the last line also. So the video person should also have a full understanding of what's going on and should be watching and making sure that if there's anything that's missed, that they speak up at the end. Again, letting the process go through with those that are decision makers first, but the video operator still has an important role. Maybe you've probably all seen this before, but in trying to figure out how to read back with words, we used a little bit shortened abbreviation. We don't have to say every word of it. So for instance, flying, sit, spin, a level 3, or FSSP3 may be a sit, spin with a flying entry level 3. It could be a flying, sit, spin level 3, or more efficient use of words would be flying, sit, 3. The only flying sit you can get is a spin, so the spin, it really doesn't need to be said. Steps 2 instead of step sequence level 2. The choreo steps, the choreo sequence, you don't need to say choreographic steps, sequence confirm, just choreo step confirm. So again, work on that. You have to just practice it. The more you do it, the easier the words come out and the easier it is to get that rhythm. And developing a rhythm in the readback really will help with those that are following along and also verifying that what you're saying is what they have on their paper also. And I think that's all that I have, and just kind of turn it over to Elliot again for some etiquette or protocol.
Sure. I'll just address the remaining questions that we have before I conclude with the officials protocol. So we had a question again about jumps. Denise, please weigh in on this after I provide an answer. If you would, that'd be great. The question is, if a skater ends up with a double Lutz plus sequence plus double toe loop asterisk in a free skate and then does a double toe loop plus double toe loop combination, would we asterisk the second toe loop in the combination because it's the third one in the program, or do we just leave it since it's the second one that's being given credit? And my answer is that you would put an asterisk on that third one. And part of the reason that we are tracking what's performed, even if it is asterisked after a sequence is broken, is for exactly that reason, that if a third one is done, then it would have to receive an asterisk.
Exactly. Exactly. The reason we are now stating everything the athlete does is for this very example.
Great. Thanks, Denise. Next information I want to share, Nancy Ida kindly brought to my attention something that was covered in the referees webinar, and it concerns the case of an interruption in the program. So this is something that's responsibility of the referee, but as we were along the theme of it takes a village, it's just something that we as data operators can be aware of as a last line of defense in case something is forgotten as associated with the second half bonus in a singles program in a situation with the interruption. And so the rule is, Nancy even quoted the rule for me, it's 1071A8D 3. And what the rule states is that in the cases of an interruption up to 3 minutes, the bonus will only be used for jump elements which were started in the second half of the program but prior to the interruption. So anything that follows the interruption would no longer get a bonus. And so this is something that the referee would direct the technical accountant to take care of. But if that gets forgotten in the midst of dealing with the interruption, then anyone on the panel can gently remind at the appropriate time. So thanks for that, Nancy. The next question, so it was regarding the pairs. Can you go back to the pairs slide, Juliet? I think it's slide 22. Great, thank you. So the point toward the bottom about if the skaters in the pair do not execute the same side-by-side jump, the jump with the lowest base value is called and it is asterisk. And so the question is, could you clarify that same side-by-side jump refers to the same takeoff? And that's correct. It only gets an asterisk if they're doing different takeoffs, like one doing a salchow, one doing a toe loop. If one does a double toe loop and one does a triple toe loop, that would not receive an asterisk. It would just receive a call of the lowest common denominator, which is the double toe loop. Let's see. Okay, I think that covers all the questions. So let's go back to slide 29, please, Juliet. Let's see. Oh, I'm thinking maybe I forgot one. Hang on a second. Yeah, I might have forgotten one question. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Juliet, I'm sorry. Can you go back to 22 again? I just found another question on the pairs. Thank you. Sorry about that. So the question is, I just want to clarify that the V in pair spins means the solo spins done by a pair team and not in a true pair spin. So, yeah, so V, so if you look at the second and third bullets on the slide, V only applies to solo spin combinations and not to flying spins. So the V in pairs only is applied if in a solo or side-by-side spin combination there aren't all three basic positions. And it's similar in the pair spins. So in the pair spin combination, if only two basic positions are performed and not three, there would be a V, and the V is not applied in pair spins. Okay, here's a great question. It's a little bit of a change of pace, and Brenda, I'll address this one to you. Is it ever appropriate for the data operator to ask the panel if they want to watch a clip again? For example, particularly if it started late and you think the panel missed marking the beginning of a position and is giving no value as a result.
Is that in a spin? Is that what you said?
Yes, that's right. That's the example that's given here, yeah.
So is it appropriate for them to suggest? I would say it's not appropriate to suggest. However, you may word it in a way that, oh, let me back that up. I'm not sure if they got the clip was at the beginning. So you are not making the call of whether they were incorrect or not incorrect, but in giving them all the appropriate information they need to see that. So if it should be obvious when you pull that clip up that it's not at the beginning of the spin. So you would automatically reverse it to the point where they're just going into the spin. So the data operator does not suggest calls, does not suggest reviews, but certainly you can play a clip or say, let me get that to the beginning for you.
Great, thanks, Brenda. And then, so the final slide on officials' protocol during events. So it's really important to always keep in mind that event officials should not communicate information regarding levels, features awarded, or jump rotation decisions with skaters, coaches of skaters, or parents of skaters until all event segments have been concluded. And I would just add, actually, as data operators, that's not our job ever. If you ever get a question, send that to the controller or the referee of that event. And then the other paragraph here pertains to the situation about errors. So if a result's been posted and awards have not been presented yet, and a protest is filed that pertains to an obvious element identification error, such as a toe loop being called a loop, or a double axle being called a triple axle, or an error in the data input of the decision that was made in the field of play, or in the case of a mathematical or software calculation error resulting in the calculation being incorrect, the skater that's affected or the coach of that skater can contact the referee to lodge the protest. Let's see. Okay, we have a final question here. What should the data operator suggest, though, if the panel misses a fall? So, Brenda, you want to take that one as well?
Well, we have lots of people watching this event, and one of those being the referee. So the referee is also keeping track of falls, and we should also be confirming that during the read back and saying how many falls there are. If the referee, I guess I would say leave it to the referee at that point. If the referee doesn't say anything to correct or confirm how many falls, again, we're a team. It's not our job to initiate those things. However, if it gets to the point where you believe that a fall is being missed, then yes, it would be appropriate to say, could we confirm how many falls? I thought there was 3 or something to that. Not, I think you guys are wrong. Again, it's all in the approach and how it's handled. So you don't want to let any obvious error go by without saying something. But remember, your role is the data operator. Your role is, doing the input, doing the playbacks, doing the edits, and rule vetting. But it's still everyone on the panel's job to make sure something like that isn't missed. So the referee is watching it. The judges don't have that information, but the referee is going to get that information also. But yes, I think it's appropriate, but it is not your primary role. So you need to make sure that you're the last resort.
Right. Thanks, Brenda. Yeah, I'll just add that. I'll add a couple of, I guess, anecdotes from my experience as a data operator to that. The only time I've ever pointed out a potential fall to a panel was when I was doing data for synchro, and there was a circle element, and I noticed a skater do kind of a down-up fall really quickly. The panel didn't call a fall, so I asked them if they wouldn't mind taking a look at that circle element, and then I left it up to them, and in fact it was a fall that really was very well covered up and just in a part of the circle that the panel wasn't looking at. So it can happen. I think in singles that situation is much less likely to occur. The only other time I asked a panel to take a look at an element was I was on a panel and a skater did a Lutz in the near corner. That was really difficult for it was on the opposite side of the ring from where the panel was, and it was a double Lutz followed by a hop and then a single axel, and so it was a sequence, and the panel had called double Lutz, and I asked them to take a look at that. I said, "Can we take a look at that?" I think it was buried in the corner, and they, in fact, then just they looked at the element and they saw the hop and the single axle, and so that call was changed. But that's sort of 2 examples of asking the panel to look at something in my 10 years as a data operator, so it's not something that's going to happen to anyone frequently. Okay. Thanks so much for all your attention. Thanks for your great questions. I really appreciate your engagement and your dedication and your intelligence and vigor. So thanks, everyone. And I hope you have a great experience in qualifying season. And remember, we're there for the skaters and do the best job that we possibly can.
Thank you, everyone, for attending, and thank you to all of our presenters for doing such a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.